Hello, here's a video overview of the mini application project as well as an example of a final project. In this mini application project, you will create a research proposal for a research study. This can be qualitative, group experimental, or single subject. You can complete this project as a small group, 2 people actually, or individually. You should use the text, lectures, and my mini lectures as a resource for completing this project. Overall, you will demonstrate your understanding of research designs, and you will apply the concepts learned in class, such as selecting a research design, participants, and measures, to this project. There is no paper for this project. However, you will create a narrated presentation using PowerPoint, Prezi, Google Slides that will be posted in Blackboard. This project is due in Module 6. You can work in a pair or individually. To sign up as a pair, post within Groups Wanted in the Blackboard discussion board by Tuesday. Include your area of interest. You can respond to a peer to sign up as their partner. And please select your partner by Thursday if you would like to work as a pair. Now this week, the mini application outline is due, and on Blackboard, the due date is Thursday. However, I know it's going to take some time for you to post your initial topics if you want a partner, as well as select a partner. So I will accept the outline up until Saturday night if you need some additional time. The template for the mini application project is located under Assignments and Mini Application Project. You would download the first file, which is the PowerPoint template. I highly recommend that you upload this file to Google Slides and share them with me. This way I can provide feedback and support along the way. This will also help you and your partner to make changes to the document over time, instead of merging those changes later. Now there are several components to the mini application project, and I just want to go through each of them. The first thing you will do is provide a brief description of the research problem, what we know and don't know about the research problem from existing literature, explicit statement about how existing research with its limitations justifies the proposed study. You will get some practice on this component while you are drafting your introduction section, and as always, I will provide detailed feedback. You will also include the research purpose and specific research questions. We have the additional mini lecture, and you have had practice as well as some feedback on the research questions. So please make sure you're applying the same principles that we previously learned and used when drafting our research questions for the research review for this project. You're also going to include the proposed research methods, including the research design, a brief description, and why. You can refer to the modules and readings in 3, 4, and 5 for examples. So you can include group experimental designs, which we are learning about this week. You can include single subjects that we learned about last week, as well as qualitative designs, which is actually this week. Sorry, I got the order a little bit behind. But you have enough information to get started with this section, and I will be posting some additional tips on selecting which type of research design works best for depending on your questions. You're also going to include the participants and their selection. So a general description of the participants, including a table with important information, detailed description of each participant if you're using single subject and qualitative studies, and a minimum of 15 participants in each group in group experimental studies, 3 to 6 participants in single subject, and at least 10 participants in qualitative research. Please make up this information. You are also going to provide a detailed example of the setting. So where will the study take place? Is it going to be the same setting for the experimental treatment as the control and baseline? Be very specific. You're also going to include those independent variables, such as a detailed description that will be used in the experimental condition, the treatment phase for single subject, or that will be explored in qualitative research. We also want to include materials, so anything required for the participants to complete the study, as well as dependent variables and data sources and data collection procedures. Also, we're going to discuss reliability and validity, proposed data analysis, and rationale for why your study should be funded, and a reflection section. So now let's take a look at an example. So this is the use of PECS as a means of communication for food preference among elementary age nonverbal students with autism. Now, as you can see, the first slide is the educational problem. So this group is stating some basics just to set the foundation for this research study. So it includes what we know from previous research, what we don't know, as well as limitations. They use bullets, which you can use and I recommend, so that it is easier for your reader to read and understand your educational problem. We're also going to include a purpose statement, and we had practice working on a purpose statement in last module. So remember, purpose statements are very clear and concise and no more than 2 sentences. And our research questions. So for this project, you can have multiple research questions. And this does include some yes, no phrase questions, which is not my preference, but it's okay for this study. Were students able to increase the number of requests for preferred food items during meal times? Were students able to generalize their use of PECS? Were students able to increase verbal language through the use of PECS? And were students able to generalize the PECS interventions into other areas of their life? They included a description of their method, and this is a single subject design with multiple baseline. And again, I will be providing you some tips on this from a video that I made last semester. And they're included a bulleted list of the participant criteria. So what students qualified for this study? And remember, this has to match up with the research question. And a detailed description of the setting. Now, as you can see, they just don't describe the general classroom by saying it's a large classroom. For the setting, you want to be very specific by describing things in detail, such as the workstation, the type of computers, the classroom setup. You can see they're describing the kitchen area because that's important to the study, and where PECS instruction is occurring. So you want to make sure in your setting you're providing detailed descriptions about those items in the classroom, as well as the general size and layout of the classroom that are relevant to your research question. The intervention is described in detail. So they're not just saying picture exchange communication system, they're describing it. So it's a form of AAC, who typically uses this, what does it do, and then the phases, okay? So for your intervention, you want to describe it in so much detail that somebody can be able to look at it and replicate it, okay? And provide background information if necessary, if it supports the definition. And now we have our dependent variables. So what do we expect to change when PECS is implemented? And that is requesting food items. And again, this matches up with the research question. And now implementation procedures. So what is happening in baseline as well as treatment for single subject? What is happening in the control group and the treatment group? So you want to make sure you are describing this in detailed steps so that somebody would be able to understand as well as replicate what you did in your research study. Okay, and again, more of those intervention procedures, a detailed description of what happens in baseline, intervention, generalization, etc. And this aligns with the research question and the methods. And more of the testing procedures information. And a little bit on generalization. Okay, you can see this is very, very detailed. So you want to make sure that someone could replicate this by looking at your steps. And now a little bit about validity and reliability. So how do we know that the researchers were doing what they should be doing, and how do we understand the reliability of this study? And they added a bit on social validity, and I may have mentioned this when I was providing feedback. So social validity is what the participants or other stakeholders feel about this intervention. You can see they interviewed parents via a questionnaire to follow up on the results and to ask their perceptions of PECs. They are including a proposed data analysis plan, and because it's a single subject, we are not running data, we are just doing a visual analysis of level, trend, and variability. And then a reflection. So the one piece this example does not include is the section on why we should be funding this project, because that was added to the requirements of this semester. And they also included references. So I hope that this was helpful. I know it was a very quick overview, but please email me if you have any questions while you are generating your outline. I will post additional resources on how to help determine what type of methodology you should use for your study based on your questions. Have a good day.